Hello everybody, I am back. Sorry about that. I'm back and we're going to start going back over the daily charts, and we're going to pick up right here on the Dow. Dow has had I think 11 days up. It's kind of a record, I believe. So see this 353.71. Let's look at that. That's a key resistance level. Came up there once before, kind of came back. Now we're back there. So we're going to have to see what the Dow does. Has still way above all these moving averages. Okay, let's look at the weeklies, and you can see here, we zoom a little out, that's that resistance of 353.71. Okay, all-time high 369.5. You can see that here. Okay, actually don't know why I didn't put a resistance level here. So that would be the next resistance level, 365.64. All-time high is 369.65. Here's a profile. So you can see the most traded price of the month is 344. Now we're making some headway here. Okay. Let's end up with the Russell. The Russell has had this resistance up at 199. Didn't quite make it up there yet, right? But let's take a look at this move from the Russell. So the Russell has had moved up and then it's pulled back and it's come back to this level, this 193.81 level. Okay, this was prior resistance, its support, and it touched the EMA daily yesterday. Right now, currently is at 194.59. So we're right about here. So a little down right now. Okay, let's look at those weeklies. So you can see this resistance here. Once, twice. Now it's coming up. Didn't test it yet. But you can see from this move down, we still have only came past the 38.2. Never retraced up to the 50% Fibonacci. So curious to see what Russell's, the weaker of the indexes, does. Okay, there's the monthlies. You can see it there. Let's go to the profile. So this is most likely today going to take over 194, 195, the most traded price of the month. Okay, starting to get a bullish imbalance here. Now, obviously, FOMC is coming up, so, right? All right, so let's look at that triple-headed monster. Let's go to that TNX, because the bond market and the equity market are not really agreeing currently. All right, now it's starting to rise again, so usually that's not good for equities. So, but this market's been kind of disjointed, so let's look at the VIX. VIX kind of in this range. You need to see 15 to even think about down movement. About zero TTEs are a little different because you do have a 1-day VIX, because this is 30 days out. The VIX is 30 days out. Okay. Let's look at the dollar. Dollar is pushed up from this 99. It's kind of holding this 101.40. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Let's go to market profile, because there's some nuances I see that we can use in scenarios today. Okay. So right on the ES. All right. So let's look at this, what this market's doing. All right, so what do we have here? We kind of have Almost a balanced looking profile, right? No surprise there. Okay, we got some excess here. Okay. Don't have the most excess here, but you do have a little excess. It's pretty balanced. So it's a bell curve, right? Price is right here right now, 45.85. Okay. Now, let's look at our big levels. Most traded price of the week holding above it. Bullish. 45.80. You're holding above it. Okay. Now, let's look at what we have going on from yesterday and today. Now, what do we have here? We have yesterday's high, overnight high. So we pretty much have a weak high here. Okay. Now, what I want to show clear is this. You have a poor high in the overnight. Not as significant as in the real-time trading hours, but it is significant. Okay. That just means there's two TPOs that are equal. That's not good excess. Okay. Usually what that means is it gets repaired. Usually gets repaired, meaning you break this up and create excess. Okay. Now you have a poor high in overnight and you have the high from yesterday. So that's a breakout point. Okay. That's a breakout point to pay attention. So around 45.92, 45.93. That's a very key level to pay attention to. Okay. So that's yesterday's high. Overnight high. Overnight low. Okay. And yesterday's low. So again, the price is here. We're kind of in the middle of yesterday's session. So that's not really giving us a ton of edge. Okay. Not really giving us a ton of edge. We're right by the balance level, right? The most traded price of the week. Most traded price of yesterday. So pretty balanced, right? So most likely inside out trade today. You're going to go there or there today. You know, we got FOMC and big earnings, so I don't know how much movement we get, but I've said that before and we've gotten movement. So now what we do have here is we do have a weak low. Okay, we got nuances here that gives us a weak low. Now, why do we have a weak low? Right? So we have the overnight low here that lines up with the most traded price of the week and the most traded price of yesterday. So if this breaks, I could see us at least going down and testing this demand in yesterday's lows. Okay. I said if it breaks. Okay. So that's the key level below. You got a weak low. You got a weak high above. So you have two key levels to look at today. An overnight high and low is pretty much where you want to look at. So 45.80 on the downside and 45.92 on the upside. That's kind of what you want to pay attention to today. With that being said, we can go right into scenarios here. And we'll just map that out, right? You just map that out. So let's go with like a bullish move, right? What would that look like? Well, two things that would look like, right? You could push down. Now this is that weak low, but we're going to say that it can't break it with the bullish scenario, right? So let's say if it comes down here, tries to test it, can't break it, and then it could drive up, and then you got that weak high, you could bust out of it. Now this is supply here that's been tested a bunch of times. So the more you test supply, it gets weaker, and you could potentially break out a little bit. Okay, that's one bullish scenario. The second one is we have a range, right? So you could push down through here, and now you got this demand zone. Now you could pop out of it, or you could test yesterday's lows. If you can't go lower and you start getting lower highs, well, then we're probably going to go back here. And we could balance for the rest of the session, or you make the move again. That's bullish scenario. Bearish scenario. Okay. That would be, obviously, first one, we got key levels here. Okay. Now to the downside, let's do, if we do move up, now we have supply here. Let's say we do this. We break the week high, but it only busts through a little bit. Then it starts getting weak. Maybe people start taking profit. Higher low. Lower highs. Well, then we're going to go back and we're going to test this area. If that gets weak, you punch through that and you hold. And then you can see how low, and we test yesterday's lows. Can you really go down to the 90 EMA daily? I don't know. And that would test the bottom of the bracket. That's just the scenario, though. Okay. NASDAQ looks different. Okay, let's get into that. NASDAQ looks different. Okay. So let's go over real quickly this profile. Now the profile in the NASDAQ is not balanced. Okay. It is not a balanced profile. It has a bearish imbalance. So that just means it's skewed to the downside. It doesn't have a lot of excess here. Okay. So that's skewed to the downside. If this profile was going to be made complete, you would see the profile look like this. It would go down to the most traded price of the month. That doesn't mean it has to happen. That just means that the profile gets completed. Okay, that's one thing we're looking at. Okay, so this looks very bearish. Okay, however, we did something yesterday that I talked about pre-market. Okay, we have monthly VWAP here. Okay, we have the 20 simple moving average on the daily right here. Okay, so what we did yesterday, opened here. Now, let me discount that. Let me just go over the big level that's staring everybody in the face. Most traded price of the week is right here. Okay, what's that price? 155.60. Okay, we're holding above it, which is bullish. Okay, that's bullish. It's a mini bullish, right? Because we're holding above this. All right, now remember, you got a lot of selling in here. All selling, right? They would be in the most pain if we start making our way back up, right? So let's look at our levels. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Let's look at our levels. So that's yesterday's high, yesterday's low. Okay, pretty balanced profile. Price is right here. So NASDAQ is still up 0.29%. Okay, it's stronger. It's the strongest out of the indexes right now. Okay, this is the strongest index. Okay, now we have overnight high, overnight low. So we have a poor low here in the overnight. We have a weak high, which just means you don't have good excess. This is good excess. See this? That's excess. Excess, right? Excess. Just to point out, that's what excess is. So again, yesterday's high, yesterday's low. Overnight high, overnight low. Okay. Now, we're above the most traded price of the week. We're above monthly VWAP. Okay, that means that we just need to hold this level if you want to be bullish. Hold this level and the monthly VWAP. What happened yesterday? What happened yesterday, right? What I talk about. I said this is going to be the test for the market. This is that weak low. It pushed through it, right? Pushed through it. Couldn't quite get to the 20 simple day moving average, but then the market pushed back, right? That trapped sellers. And then we made a move back. right? So that's what I'm talking about. So this level is what you want to look at. What do we also have? We have a weak low, just like in the ES. This one's actually more distinct. So you have actually a poor low, which is also a weak low. Why is it a weak low? Well, most traded price of the week's here, and most traded price of yesterday's here, and you have the overnight low. So this is the line in the sand. Again, that level is 155.60 for the NASDAQ. If you hold it, can't go lower, well, market's probably going to go back higher, right? And I don't, again, we have a lot of catalysts on the horizon, so I don't know, but this has happened before where I've said this and then we make a move. So you really just don't know. So let's just go over it, right? Very easy scenarios here. Now, I talked about Netflix. I talked about Nvidia. Okay, I said the levels that I want to see hold. Now, just want to put you in my mind. What I'm looking for, okay, this is a bullish scenario. This is what I'm looking for, is maybe a move higher, whatever, but would really like this move. Come back, test this right here. Now, it could flush, fine, but it needs to hold there. But if it can't, hits monthly VWAP, starts to come back through this level and holds. And then you see Nvidia and Netflix doing the same thing with the levels I told you. Nvidia holding 450, Netflix holding 430. Pick your poison, Qs or those stocks, right? If it keeps holding, well then we're going to probably go and test yesterday's highs and then probably go up into the supply zone. Okay? That's the bullish scenario. Again, because of this level, right? Now, let's go to the bearish scenario. What would happen? Now, two things could happen. Okay, let's do with the first scenario. Let's say this market got a lot of volume here, right? That could get hurt. Now, I forgot to mention this. This is about 75-80% net long in the profile, and you have volume up here. There's probably longs, which sets up what I was saying for the bullish scenario. Because if this market moves down, it's going to take out people who are long here. Okay, which would be perfect for the scenario. Anyway, let's say the market does push up, goes into this supply, then you start getting lower highs. Well, you're going to probably make a move down, and you're probably going to test this area. Now, again, this is bearish scenario. So if you push through this weak low and you hold, making lower highs, you could wind up testing yesterday's lows with the 20-day simple moving average. Okay? That's what I see. Now we'll wrap it up. Okay? So we got our plan, we got our levels. Nasdaq's very clear with that one level. Got that weak low, the most traded price of the week. You got the weak low in the ES. So we'll have to see. Okay? Subscribe if you haven't already. Set an alert. Right? So also give me a like, thumbs up. That would help me out. You can also follow me on Twitter, Gonzo719. And we have our plan, everybody. We have our plan. We have a couple stocks I told you about. We have big earnings coming. We have FOMC tomorrow. Okay? So wish everybody good luck today. Hope you stay green. And be patient. Be patient. Let these levels do the work. Let the market prove to you if it can go lower. Because if it can't go lower, it's going higher. Okay? And just think about the sentiment now, right? I listen to podcasts, listen to a bunch of financial advisors, hedge fund managers, and they need to make money for their clients, right? And a lot of them saying we're waiting for a pullback. The pullback happened. I'm not saying this is the ultimate pullback, but you just have to think about that too. Like, they need to make money. They need to show their clients they're making money. So the sentiment right now is bullish, right? Macroeconomic things, that's a whole nother story, but the sentiment is bullish. Just keep that in mind. Also, people who haven't got in on the stocks could be feeling FOMO. This pullback could give them a buying opportunity. I'm just talking about, I'd like to go with the flow, right? I'd like to go with the sentiment. I don't want to counter the sentiment right now. Okay, I want to go with it, right? So if you're a surfer, you want the big wave to go with, okay? So leave everybody with that. If you don't hear me from me for the rest of the day, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.